이번 주에도 돌아온 2026년의 하프앤하프의 종태용입니다. 반갑습니다.
And I'm Jeep. Welcome to Half and Half. It's going to be an interesting episode. Taeyong Same says it's going to be a little one-sided. Maybe I'll have more to say than he will. I think that's probably true. But yeah, we'll try to have a nice conversation here. Okay, topic. So topic, for people who are learning Korean, they're generally pretty familiar with this, but I think
네.
Korean listeners might not know what this is at all. They might not even have ever heard of it.
그럴 가능성이 높아요.
Yeah. Do you want to explain topic just really quick for Korean people so they can understand it clearly?
네.
Yeah.
토픽이라고 하는 것은 그 영어 단어 주제의 토픽 TOPIC가 아니라 TOPIK라는 외국인들을 위한 한국어 능력 시험입니다.
Yeah, that's right.
네.
Test of proficiency in Korean.
그렇습니다.
TOPIK. Continue more.
네,
What
네,
else is
좋아요, 좋아요.
Yeah.
네, 그래서 뭐 유학을 준비하거나 한국 취업을 준비하거나 아니면 그냥 뭐 스스로 한국어 실력을 테스트해 보고 싶어서
Mhm.
한국어를 공부하는 외국인들이 치는 시험인데 토픽은 토픽 1과 토픽 2가 있어요.
That's right.
토픽 1은 읽기 능력과 듣기 능력만 테스트를 하고요.
Mhm.
토픽 2는 거기에 쓰기 능력이 더해집니다.
That's right.
네. 그리고 토픽은 모두 그 받는 성적이 1급부터 6급까지가 있는데
Yeah, that's right.
6급이 제일 높은 레벨이에요.
That's right.
제일 잘한 점수가 6급이고요. 그리고 아까 얘기했던 토픽 1을 치면
Yep.
1급, 2급 성적을 받을 수 있고요.
Yep.
토픽 2를 치면 3, 4, 5, 6급 중에서 점수에 맞는 등급을 받게 됩니다.
Wow. Okay, good. I wasn't sure if you know exactly everything, but yeah, you got it exactly right.
아니 저 한국어 선생님이잖아요. 그래도
Yeah, true. You teach Korean, so
네.
people are probably interested in advancing their TOPIK level, and you have to like understand what the test is and stuff.
그렇죠.
Have you ever taken the TOPIK test? I know it's a stupid question, but I have to ask.
저는 쳐보진 않았죠. 그
Okay.
등급비가 비싸서.
Okay, so yeah, you explained it exactly right. I'll repeat some of that very briefly for people listening in English. But basically, there's two tests. There's TOPIK 1 and TOPIK 2. There's 6 levels that you can achieve. 6 is the highest level. You can actually achieve 0 also. 0 is possible.
진짜요?
You could just fail. Yeah, you can not get 1. But if you take
맞네.
TOPIK 1, the test TOPIK 1, you can get a 0, a 1, or a 2. And then if you take the TOPIK 2 test, you can get a 3, 4, 5, or 6. Or actually, you can also get a 0, I guess. If you don't get 3, you would technically get a 0. But yeah. So then the other thing is the TOPIK 1 test only has listening and reading, and TOPIK 2 test has listening, reading, and writing. And for a few years, maybe for 5 years or more, they've been talking about adding a speaking section to the test.
네.
I think they've prototyped it or like tried, but they haven't implemented it yet fully. Like they're just testing to see if they want a speaking section, but it's not fully implemented.
그게 저도 궁금해서 막
Yeah.
검색해봤었는데
Yeah.
토픽 스피킹?
Yeah.
토픽 말하기 시험이 있는 것 같더라고요.
They've tested it. Yeah. They've been trying it out. I think maybe part of the problem is evaluation is very difficult. Also, usually when we do the TOPIK test, well, I'll get into that in a second. But if you have lots of people in one room trying to talk, they're all talking at the same time. It could be like very problematic. So the test environment doesn't really support speaking very well right now.
저는 하게 되면
Yeah.
그 영어 뭐 IELTS 같은 식으로 하려나 생각을 했거든요.
Yes.
그러니까 한 명씩 하는 거예요.
Yes.
근데 이제 그러면은 한 명 시험 칠 때마다 면접관 한 명이 그걸 듣고 질문을 해야 되잖아요.
Right. That's right.
그러니까 그 시험료가 확 비싸지겠죠?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So I know what IELTS is. I've seen like a video of what it is, so that like my friend who was doing an IELTS test, I could help them have the same style of test. But but I actually took a different English test called CELPIP. So CELPIP is a Canadian, specifically Canadian English test. And I had to take this test because I moved from the USA to Canada. And even though I'm a native English speaker, you still have to take the test. And that test has a speaking section. And I would say there was maybe 10 people all in the same room doing this test at the same time, like talking. And it was like very, very loud and confusing. So I don't know. It's possible. But yeah, that was my experience.
아 진짜요? 아니
Yeah, yeah.
아니 그러면 그 면접관은 몇 명이에요?
What is 면접관? Sorry.
면접관 그 질문하는 사람?
No. It's all computer. So on the computer, it'll, for example, we're talking about CELPIP, but it's fine. It'll say, your brother wants his daughter to go to a movie at midnight. You think it's a bad idea. So tell your brother why he should not take his daughter to a movie at midnight. His daughter being like 5 years old or something. And so then you have maybe 1 minute to talk and you say, hey, you shouldn't take your daughter to a movie theater at midnight because blah, 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 blah. You just explain like your reason and you just talk basically. So yeah.
그렇게 하는구나. 그러면은 그걸 다 한 공간에서 한다는 말이죠.
Yeah.
좀 정신 없겠네요, 진짜.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so TOPIK test. So I guess I'll explain a few more things about it. So some people are required to take a TOPIK test if you want to work in Korea.
네.
Many different jobs require a specific level. I've never applied for a job in Korea, so I don't know exactly. But I've heard that a lot of jobs require a level 4 or above, and maybe some require 5 or some require 3. I don't know exactly. People like me, I have taken the test. I've taken it 5 times now, actually. Just to say I take it for fun sounds really weird, but I don't take it for fun. But I take it to get a good evaluation of my Korean level, to understand what it is. And when other people ask me, what is your, what Korean level do you have? I basically have like a certificate that I can show and say, look, this is my level. I'm not just lying, or I'm not, I have some proof basically of like what I believe my Korean level is.
그렇죠.
But the TOPIK test is, it's very formal business type Korean mostly. There's a little bit of informal parts, but it's more focused on business communication and academic communication style, I would say. So just because if somebody gets a 6 in TOPIK, it doesn't mean that they're actually like completely fluent in Korean and can have a conversation with everybody. And somebody who is very, very fluent and has lots of friends in Korea and communicates very well could get a very low score on TOPIK if they're not focused on academics and science and things like that. So
맞아요.
So it's not it's not exactly perfect. It's situational. It's very specific.
그게 한국인들이 많은 한국인들이
Yeah.
그 토익이라는 영어 시험에 대해 가지고 있는 생각도 비슷해요.
Yeah, TOEIC is similar. I agree. I have a friend who took the TOEIC test, and she sent me like some pages from her book, and I was reading it, and it was very difficult. I was like, wow, this is very formal, like strict English, like. But yeah, I think it's similar. I agree. Yeah.
저는 참고로 토익을 한 2년 전쯤에 쳤었는데 저는 930점 맞았습니다.
Okay. And out of how much? What's the total possible?
990점 중에
Oh, wow.
930점 맞았는데
Wow, that's great.
그쵸?
Yeah, that's really good. Wow.
네네.
Amazing.
아무튼
Yeah. How many did you take it just one time or how many times?
네, 저 딱 한 번 쳐봤어요.
Wow, great.
네.
Does your score or your, I don't know what you call it, your certificate, does it ever expire or is it forever?
그 딱 2년
Okay.
2년.
I see.
끝났어요.
And when did you take the test?
재작년 생일 때 쳤었을 거예요.
Mhm.
재작년 10월에.
Okay, okay.
네, 그래서 한 두세 달 전에 끝난 거죠.
I see. Okay, okay.
네.
Yeah. So TOPIK is the same. It expires after 2 years. So you get some score, and then after 2 years, technically you no longer have any score. You would have to take it again.
그럼-
So what I've been doing, I've been taking the test every other year. So I'll take the test, and then when it expires, I take it again. And then when it expires, I take it again. The first time I took it, I took TOPIK 1, and I got a score of 2. And then 2 years later, I took TOPIK 2 and got a 3. And then 2 years later, I took it and got a 4. And then I guess in October, I took it and I got a 5. So
야, 박수 한번 칩시다. 이야,
thank you. So yeah, so I got a 5. It's what was I gonna say? I don't know what I was gonna say. I just got my score actually in December, so I only found out very recently what my score was. So yeah, I was really excited. I got a 5. That was my goal, and so I achieved my goal. I'm really happy. I'll probably take it again in 2 years and try to get a 6. But I don't know. When I got a 4, I wasn't sure if I would be able to achieve a 5 2 years later. I was like, that seems really hard. And right now I have the same feeling. I don't know if I can achieve a 6 in 2 years from now. I would have to study pretty hard, I think. Yeah.
가능해요.
Yeah.
가능해요.
It's
할수
possible.
있어요.
It's possible, yeah.
예, 예.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, the test process, because I think it's kind of interesting.
네, 네.
So first of all, if you want to take the test, you have to plan many months in advance. So for example, for October, taking the test in October, I had to apply in July to take the test.
10월에 치면 7월에 지원해야 된다.
Yeah. Yeah.
네, 네, 좋아요.
So there's an application period of about a month, and you have to, and also where people live, if they're not in Korea, if they're in other countries, then the test happens only 2 times or maybe sometimes once every year. So for example, in Canada, we had one test in October and one test in March, I think. So you have to plan very far in advance, like, when are the test dates that are coming and when do you need to apply? You need to look at that.
맞다. 네, 네.
Yeah. And also they're in very specific places. So for example, for me, the only nearby place I could take the test was in Toronto, which is 5-hour drive away from Ottawa. So I live in Ottawa. I had to drive 5 hours to go to Toronto to take the test. 4 years ago, was it 4? I don't know. Some number of years ago, there was a test in Ottawa, but 2 years ago and this year, there was no test in Ottawa. It was in Toronto.
아, 그래요? 없어진 거네요.
Yeah. So then, go ahead. You have a question, I think.
뭐 별건 아니고
Yeah.
그게 뭐 지역이랑 나라마다 뭐 어떤 나라는 1년에 한 번 치는 곳도 있고.
Yeah, that's true.
예,
There's
어떤
probably
곳은 막-
some countries where they only do it once a year.
네, 네. 뭐 또 어떤 나라는 막 1년에 막 4-5번 치기도 하고.
Yeah.
그렇죠.
Okay. Okay. So you apply, you register, you get some ticket that says like, this is my ID and my name and my test number or whatever. You go on that day, you show them your ticket, you sit down, and it's usually it's like a college classroom where there's like lots of tables and everybody's, spaced far apart. So you can't cheat on other people's papers, right? And they give you a black marker pen and correction tape, they call it, or whiteout. So you can, if you have a wrong answer, you can put white over the top.
수정 테이프.
Oh, I've never heard that. What is it?
네, 그 수정 테이프라고.
Correction tape. Okay, makes sense.
네, 네. 하얀색으로 딱 네.
Yeah. And you can have water. That's it.
오.
When you go in,
그래요? 네.
yeah, so you can have water in like a clear bottle, so you can like drink water. They collect everybody's cell phones, so they come by your desk with a it's like a book, and they put your like cell phone in the little book, and then they close it up
맞아요.
and they put it in a box, and then they lock the box or whatever.
네.
And then yeah, so the test, it takes maybe 3 hours total. It's like about 1 hour per section, not exactly, but it's about 1 hour per section.
아, 그 토픽 1이랑 토픽 2가 시험 길이가 다르죠.
Right. Topic 1 is
네.
only about 2 hours. Yeah, yeah, because there's less sections.
네, 네.
Yeah, and then for the listening section, they have a big like stereo. Basically, they put in a CD, and then they play the CD, and it's like, you know, in Korean it says, you know, welcome to the topic
네.
test. You know.
맞아요.
Yeah.
맞아요.
Yeah.
아, 그 시험장이 많이 넓었어요? 교실이?
It's pretty big. Yeah, I'm sure it depends on the location, but the location that I went to in Toronto it's a college that, you know, has normal college classes and stuff. So it's a pretty big college in Toronto where they did this.
그러면은 한 시험장에 몇 명 정도 있었어요? 한 방에?
I think there was, I would say 25 or 30 people
꽤 많았네,
in one.
많았네요.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah. Yeah. So you usually, I think it's the listening first. I'm just talking about topic 2 right now, but you do listening. It'll like, it'll be a dialogue where it'll you know, be somebody saying like,
네,
so I just heard that you won a gold medal in the javelin competition. What do you think about the other competitors? And then the interview person will say, well, they tried their best, but you know, I've you know, worked very hard. Even though I had an injury 5 years ago, I've recovered from that. And next year I'm going to Singapore to do a special event for charity or something. And then you'll see the questions all written in Korean, and it'll be like, you know, what country is he visiting next year? And and then, you know, 3 options, or you know, it'll say like, what is the mood of the person who's receiving this interview? Is he happy? Is he angry? Is he sad? Or is he depressed? Or, you know, whatever. And so it'll be all kinds of questions like that, all multiple choice. Then what's next? So then there's, I think the writing is next. You go straight from listening to writing.
아, 그래요?
Yeah.
오,
Oh yeah, I
네,
should
네.
say this. All the sections usually start from easy, and then they get harder and harder as you
그쵸.
go. Yeah.
그쵸.
Yeah. So the first listening questions can be like very, very simple and very slow. It'll be like, I'm hungry. Would you like some food? like very
네.
simple stuff like that. So then the writing, it'll be like a fill in the blank. It'll be like, there's an email that says, hey, I'm going to be traveling soon and I'm looking for a hotel to stay at. What place do you recommend? But then there'll be like a blank sentence or two where you have to like guess what they wanted to say, basically.
그렇구나.
Yeah. And then there's an essay question. There's 2 essay questions. One is a graph. So they show like a graph of information that's like,
네.
I don't know, like the hobbies of people who live in Chicago, and the hobbies will be like, you know, riding bicycles, jogging, reading, or, you know, whatever, something like that.
네.
And then you have to describe the graph. You have to say everything like, of the people who live in Chicago, you know, they interviewed 100 people. 50% were men, 50% were women. And of the women, most of them preferred reading. Of the men, most of them preferred roller skating, and then
네,
like
네.
you have to compare the difference and like that. Yeah.
도표 분석하기 문제.
Yeah, exactly.
네.
So you write, I think, 500 words, or sorry, 500 characters, not words.
네, 네. 글자로.
And and you use what is it called? 원고지? Is it right?
네, 원고지 맞아요.
Yeah.
그
So
글 쓰는
원고지.
종이.
We don't have 원고지 in English at all, but basically it's like graph paper,
네,
where
네.
there's all these little squares, and you write one character per square as you write. And for spaces, you leave a square blank, and for punctuation, you fill one square with punctuation, but you
맞아요.
don't put a space after punctuation. And there's certain rules about when you put spaces and when you don't, and you have to like follow those rules.
참 그 규칙이 원고지에 글 쓰는 규칙을 그걸 잘 모르는 한국인들도 꽤 있을 거예요.
Yeah.
네.
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but if you study the rules, like study it a little bit, then it's not too complicated. You just have to learn what
맞아요,
those rules
맞아요.
are. Yeah, like another weird one is that numbers, you put 2 numbers per box. So to write the number 220, you would put 2 in one box and 0 in the next box and things like that.
네.
Anyway, so then the last essay is a 700 character essay where they ask usually a pretty complicated like ethical question.
좀 토론 주제가 될 만한 문제를 주죠.
Yeah, debatable topic. Yeah.
네, 네.
And so it'll be something like I'm making all this up off the top of my head, but it'll be something like a hot issue these days is that more people in Korea live in apartments than houses. What are the economic advantages of a country where more people live in apartments than houses? And what what
너무
laws
어려운데요?
could we change to improve the situation? Or something like that.
아니 그건 진짜 어려운데?
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
제가 기억나는 예 하나는 그 자녀들의 조기 교육, 그 조기 전문화 교육이 좋은지 안 좋은지.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard question. Like even for me to answer something like that in English, it would be like, I need to think about that. And then I would write it and then I would correct it and change it. But at least for me, I only have like basically 30 minutes to write it. And since you're writing on one goji, you can't go back and change things. So you have to I usually spend maybe 5 minutes taking notes and thinking about what do I want to write? What's point 1, point 2, point 3? And then,
맞아요.
what will I write? And then saying, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm going to actually write it down. Yeah. But yeah, usually, so every time that I've taken the TOPIK 2 test for writing, I haven't had enough time to finish the writing. Like I would run out of time before I finished. I would get to maybe like 400 or 500 characters on that final essay. But when I took the test in October, I actually finished my whole essay, 700 characters, and still had like 5 minutes remaining. And so for those 5 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm done. I should just sit here. And so I sat there for like 2 minutes, and then I was like, wait a minute, I should read what I wrote and correct it.
그래야죠.
So I wasted 2 minutes not correcting what I should have because I just didn't even think of that. I never done it before. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
네, 근데 그 토픽 2의 쓰기 마지막 문제들이 그래도 꽤 생각해 볼 만한 재밌는 주제들이 많아요.
Yeah.
네. 그래서 저는 이 한국어 영어 팟캐스트 말고
Yeah.
그냥 한국어만 하는 팟캐스트가 있잖아요.
Yeah.
이제 거기 그 채널을 몇 달간 쉬다가 이제 다시 하려고 하는데 그러면 그 채널에서 한 달에 한 번씩 그 토픽 쓰기 마지막 문제에 대해서 게스트랑 이야기하는 에피소드 시리즈를 좀 만들려고요.
You do an episode on topic every month?
아니요, 그 마지막 문제만 43번
Oh,
문제만.
okay. You do sorry. Let me say this again. You do an episode about the final writing question once every month.
네, 네.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. I listened to.
아니요.
Oh,
이제 할 거 나중에 할
oh,
거예요.
you should. Oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
네, 네.
Yeah, that could be interesting because yeah, like so a lot of the previous tests are publicly posted, so people can use them as examples or for as mock tests to like
그렇죠, 그렇죠.
read previous
모의고사로
questions and get an idea of what it's like.
공개된 것들. 네.
But yeah, you could do a monthly a monthly review of those questions and talk about
네,
them.
네.
I think it could be interesting. Yeah.
네, 네.
Yeah.
근데 참
음.
네. 네, 네.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, when I was preparing for the test, I watched a lot of YouTube videos where Korean teachers would read those questions and write. Here's what I would write in that situation and talk about it. Yeah, it was very useful.
네. 저는 그 문제가 참
Yeah.
한국어 선생님 교육을 받으면서
Mm-hmm.
그 쓰기 문제에 대한 답을 어떻게 채점하는지도 좀 교육을 받았거든요.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
이 점수를 선생님이 점수를 줄 때
Mm-hmm.
어떤 부분을 봐야 하는지를 배웠는데
Mm-hmm.
근데 되게 흥미로운 부분이
Mm-hmm.
이제 딱 한국어 시험 이 토픽 준비를 아주 기술적으로 잘한 학생이
Right.
이제 딱 그 점수를 잘 받기 위한 글을 딱딱딱 쓴 거예요.
True. Yeah. They dissect it and really break it into here's where you get the points. Yeah.
네, 딱딱딱딱딱 된 거예요.
Yeah.
그러니까 선생님들이 그걸 채점을 할 때 그 점수를 잘 줄 수밖에 없어요. 근데요.
Yeah.
그런 글들이요.
Mm-hmm.
뭐랄까? 진짜 그냥 읽기 위한 글?
Mm-hmm.
그렇게 생각하면 별로예요. 되게.
you just don't like the style where it's very like formal and written style.
네. 그러니까 그래서 뭐라는 거야? 이렇게
Yeah,
좀.
yeah. Yeah, it is a different style for sure. That's sort of where I was saying, even if you are good at the TOPIK exam, it doesn't mean that you can speak Korean fluently because it's this very, very formal academic style.
그렇죠.
But that is what they're grading based on. They want that style when they grade the test. So
맞습니다.
yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, and then the last part is the reading, which I've never finished reading all of it because I'm a slow reader and it's just difficult for me. But I usually get through maybe 40 out of the 50 questions, and they get longer and more difficult as you go. But
맞아요.
yeah. And then, so I get to 40 questions and then A, all the way down. So, yeah.
참 근데 이제는 작년이죠. 작년 한국에
Yeah.
대학교 들어가는 시험 수능 있잖아요.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
그 수능의 영어 과목이
Mm-hmm.
그냥 영어가 모국어인 사람들이 쳐도 어렵다고 막 좀 문제가 됐거든요.
Yeah, I saw I saw a few videos about this. How the Korean, I don't know what his job was exactly, but one of the Koreans who prepared the English part of the Sunan test resigned because there was a lot of debate or a lot of backlash, I guess, about the difficulty of the questions on the last year's test. Yeah, I heard that.
네. 근데 뭐 토픽은 그 정도는 아니지만
Yeah.
근데 그래도 토픽 2에 진짜 마지막에 있는 읽기 문제들 보면
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
한국인들도 틀릴 문제들이 좀 있어요.
Oh, really? I was never sure if like Koreans felt that it was difficult or not, but that's good to hear.
그게 진짜 그 마지막에 있는 문제들은 몇 개들은 좀 한국어? 그러니까 외국인이 배우는 그 목적의 그 한국어를 테스트할 용도가 아닌 것 같은 문제들이 있어요.
Right.
네, 진짜 뭔가 진짜 생각을 해야 되고
Yeah.
글을 막 분석해서 막 잘 생각해야 하는 문제들이 있거든요.
Right. You know, I'll say this. So for the TOPIK exam, it's not TOPIK, sorry. The Sunan test that from last year that they were talking about, there was some example questions that were like, here's these very, very difficult questions.
네.
I'm going to be 100% honest. When I read those English questions, on the Sunung,
네.
I thought that it was harder for me to understand those than the Korean questions on the TOPIK test. I'm being 100% serious. Like when I read like the last few questions in TOPIK in Korean, I can understand them more easily than those English questions.
아 진짜 웃기네 이거.
Because I tried to read those, I was like, I don't know what this is saying. I don't know what it's trying to say.
와 이거 진짜 들어야 돼요. 시험 문제 만드는 사람들이 이 얘기를 들어야 돼요.
Yeah, exactly. And in both cases, the TOPIK question and the Sunung question, you know, I'm reading them very, very slowly and carefully, trying to understand them. But when you take the test, of course, you have to read them very quickly and like make a decision quickly. And so I don't understand how anybody could get those right. So yeah, it's crazy. Although maybe one more debatable thing about it is, you know, I have spent time studying and practicing for the TOPIK exam. I've never studied for Sunung, so maybe if I studied Sunung a little bit, I would understand it better. Maybe. I don't know. But just as a native English speaker, I don't know what that question is trying to say.
뭐 그럴 수 있는데요.
Yeah.
근데 저는 꼭 그렇지만은 아닐 수도 있다 생각해요. 왜냐면은
Yeah.
그 수능에
Yeah.
영어 말고 그냥 국어도 있거든요.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is foreign.
네, 그냥
By foreign I mean Korean, right?
네네. 그러니까 한국인들도 수능에서 국어 시험을 치잖아요.
Yeah, right.
근데 한국인들이라고 그것도 다 할 수 있는 건 아니거든요.
Really? Okay.
네, 그 글을 분석하는 능력과 그것도
yeah.
빨리 읽어서 막 필요한 정보를 찾아내고
I
그게
see.
쉽지 않아요.
I see. I've never looked at Sunung's Kugo, like Korean questions. I don't know what they look like. I've never taken a look, but interesting.
네, 쉽지 않습니다. 아무튼.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all the sections of TOPIK. For me, whenever I finish the test, I feel very tired, like exhausted, because you have to think really hard and fast. And I always feel like I did very poorly on the listening section. I always feel like I just took guesses because it's all on a timer, right? It just goes and goes and goes. You can't stop and wait and think. But usually when I get my test results, I did better than I thought I did on listening. So I feel like pretty relieved, like, okay, actually I did okay. So, yeah.
네. 참. 그러면은 내년 10월에 또 토픽을 치려나요? 지프가?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So in 2027, I'll probably take the test again and try to get a 6. Yeah. You know, I almost didn't take the test last year because before I registered for the test, I took a mock exam to see, what score will I maybe get? And it felt like I didn't improve at all from 2 years previous. It felt like I had no improvement. And so I was like, maybe I'll just skip it and not take the test and wait another year or something.
자신감이 없었구나.
But then just randomly, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus. I'll study and I'll try. And I'm glad that I did because I achieved my goal. But
그래요.
but yeah, I think I'm going to try again in 2027. See if I can get a 6. It'll be good. Yeah.
할 수 있습니다. 할 수 있어요.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
네. 근데 치프가 전에 듣기가 약하다고 했나요?
So, I should look at my scores. They're all like 60, 60, 60, something in that area. I don't know exactly the number. But I think listening is probably my weakest out of listening, reading, and writing. And writing is my strongest, just in terms of score.
네.
Not just in terms of score. That's actually how I feel. I feel like listening is my weakest.
그렇구나.
Yeah.
저의 한국어 팟캐스트도 종종 들어주세요.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I try to listen to a lot more things, and over the last 2 years, I've focused a lot on watching a lot more dramas and listening to a lot more podcasts and things like that. But I guess I've been doing more passive learning over the last couple years, less
네.
like focused study and more just absorbing content, absorbing media, and enjoying it, and not really focusing on studying. So yeah.
네.
Yeah.
뭐 기회를 빌려 제 좀 자랑을 좀 하자면
Mhm.
제가 굉장히 자랑스러워하는 부분인데요. 그 제 컴프리헨서블 인풋 코리안 채널에
Mhm.
그 가끔씩 댓글도 달리고
Mhm.
그 뭐 제 그 유튜브용 SNS에 뭐 DM 메시지를 보내기도 하고
Mhm.
또 뭐 누구는 그 도네이션을 하기도 하는데요.
Mhm.
가끔씩 어떤 얘기들을 해주냐면 그 다른 공부를 아무것도 안 하고
Right.
그냥 제 유튜브만 계속 봤는데
Mhm.
그러면 막 자막 읽고 그 계속 들으니까
Mhm.
그래서 다른 공부 안 하고 그것만 봤는데 토픽을 쳤더니 2급을 땄대요.
Oh wow, that's great. That's awesome.
그러니까 그냥 자동으로 그냥 토픽 2급이 된 거죠.
That's really great. That's awesome.
네네 그렇습니다.
That's cool. I think there was one more thing I wanted to say. One more thing I want to say that I didn't mention. In all sections of the test, one of the most important things is improving your vocabulary. Like, because the TOEIC test, I wouldn't say it uses like, super difficult vocabulary, but it's very, very broad vocabulary. It covers lots and lots and lots of different topics. And there's an expectation that some of the things that it discusses in, the listening section or whatever, or even reading, will be about will be using words that you've never seen or never heard, that Koreans might know, but that are generally like just not very common. And so going through previous tests, like especially the reading section, and just underline every single word you don't know, and like just learn those words, because some of them are more common, some are more rare. But yeah, improving vocabulary helps on all sections of the test.
그렇죠. 그게 뭐 아무래도 시험들은 그 이전 시험들로 모의고사를 계속 쳐보는 게 네, 또 그걸 해보면서 오답 노트 만들고 네 거기서부터 막 그 부족한 것들을 채우는 게 가장 효율적이지 않을까 싶습니다.
Yeah, that's right.
네.
That's all I got.
네, 뭐,
That's everything.
네, 뭐 많이 얘기했는데요. 그 시험 응시자, 시험을 친 사람의 입장에서 얘기를 많이 들었잖아요. 네, 저는 사실 토픽 그 시험 감독관을 해본 적이 있어요.
Really?
네, 방글라데시에 있을 때.
Okay, cool.
네, 그게 어떤 식으로 됐었냐면 뭐 다른 나라도 아마 비슷할 것 같은데 그 토픽 시험이 있기 전에 대사관에서 네, 대사관에서 그 토픽 시험 감독관을 할 사람을 막 모집해요. 네, 그러면은 뭐 막 그 나라에 뭐 여러 뭐 그 정부 기관도 있고 막 뭐 회사도 있고 하잖아요. 한국인들이 있는. 그럼 이제 막 거기들한테 막 이야기들이 막 퍼지거든요. 그러면 뭐 무슨 뭐 과장님이 야야 토픽 그 면접관 뽑는데 아예 그 감독관 뽑는데 그 막 이런 식으로 막 얘기를 막 해요. 그래서 저도 할래요 막 이렇게 막 다 해요. 그게 그 감독관을 하면 돈을 꽤 많이 주거든요.
Oh, really?
네.
Yeah, I was never sure because I never asked if it was like a volunteer thing or if people got paid to do that. But that's cool.
돈을 당연히 주죠. 그것도
와.
꽤 짭짤하게 많이 줘요.
Wow, great.
네, 그래서 그래서 저 하겠습니다 해가지고 딱 하게 되면은 그 이른 아침에 딱 가가지고 다 모여요. 그 한 방에 다 모여서 그 감독관 어떻게 하는 건지 그 지시를 해주거든요.
Right. You get a lecture on how to properly run the test, and
그렇죠.
yeah.
그렇죠. 그래서 딱 아침에 가면은 그 다들 뭐 아침에 일찍 왔고 막 뭐 피곤할 테니까
음.
뭐 간식거리 좀 하라고 막 비닐봉지 이만한 거에 막 간식을 이것저것 막 싸서 다 나눠줘요. 한 명씩 한 명씩.
yeah. Nice.
그래서 예, 그거 받아가지고 막 사탕 먹으면서
Yeah.
그 막 뭐 이 수업 그 이 시간대는 이렇게 해야 되고 이때는 이렇게 해야 되고 막 하거든요.
Mm-hmm.
네, 그렇게 하고 그 다음에 그 이제 각 교실로
Mm-hmm.
감독관을 2명씩 보내요.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
그럼
I've
이제
always every time I took it, we always had two. Yeah.
네네 맞아요. 그래서 그 2명 그 조를 알려주거든요.
Mm-hmm.
그 누구 한 조예요. 누구 뭐 이 교실에 가세요 이렇게.
Mm-hmm.
근데 그러면은 또 그 거기가 외국이니까
Mm-hmm.
기본적인 그 안내를 그 나라 말 아니면 영어로 해야 되는 거예요.
Right. Yeah.
근데 물론 그 말을 그 영어로 써주기는 해요.
Right. Mm-hmm.
네, 근데 그러면은 만약에 그 이 2명 중에 한 명이 그 영어를 못하는 사람이다.
Yeah.
그러면 이제 그 파트너한테 혹시 영어 잘하시면 좀 대신 읽어주시면 안 돼요? 뭐 이렇게 하거든요.
Right. Yeah. Every time I've taken the test, they've explained the instructions and everything in both Korean and English. And generally, their English was pretty good. Like clearly they were Korean and had very strong Korean accent and didn't speak perfect English, but it was good enough that I could understand it. But
네. 그래서 예,
Yeah.
저는 제가 읽었고요.
Mm.
아무튼 그렇게 하고 그 막 그 교실에 있는 시계를 보면서 그 듣기
Yeah.
그 듣기 CD를 틀어주는데
Yeah.
근데 그게 막 뭐 무슨 중앙 시스템에서 한 번에 모든 교실에 동시에 틀 수 있는 게 아니더라고요.
Right.
그래서 그냥 모든 그냥 각 교실에 있는 선생님들이 감독관들이
Mm-hmm.
그 완전 집중을 해가지고 시계만 계속 보고 있다가
Right.
근데 모두 동시에 딱 누르는 거예요.
Right. Yeah. They make sure they all start at the same time. It's very formal and strict.
네.
I was gonna say, when I took the test the most recent time, we did the first 2 sections. We did bathroom break, came back, and everybody was back in the room like pretty quickly. And so the people running the test said, we still have 5 minutes before it's time to start, but everybody's here. So if you want to start 5 minutes early and end 5 minutes early, start and end 5 minutes early,
아.
we can start right now if everybody wants to. So they said, raise your hand if you want to start now. And everybody said, yep. And so they said, okay, we're starting the timer. They watched the clock, the seconds are going, and then boop. Yeah, they started like 5 minutes early. So yeah.
그렇게도 되구나.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's illegal what they did, but there you go.
뭔가 이상한데요?
Yeah.
될지 모르겠는데 그게 공식적으로 아무튼
5 minutes, I don't think it's a big deal. If you started like 5 hours early, I'm sure that'd be a huge deal. Right?
그렇죠. 근데 아무튼 그렇게 하고 네, 그러고 이제 감독관은 그러고 나면 사실 뭐 크게 막 할 일이 없잖아요.
That's right.
그럼 이제 뭐 그 한 명은 교실 앞에서 한 명은 교실 뒤에서 이제 뭐 그냥 학생들 잘하고 있는지 누가 컨닝 안 하는지 보거든요.
Right.
근데 제 교실에도 한 명 있었어요. 계속 그냥 가만히 시험지만 보면 되는데 계속 이렇게 옆을 봐요.
Really?
네.
Oh.
그런 사람이 한 명 있었어요. 그래서 제가 계속
Do you think they're actually
주의를
trying to cheat?
했어요. 근데 그건 아닌 것 같았어요.
Okay.
네. 그러니까 뭐 그게 그 컨닝을 하더라도 그 만약에 진짜 뭐 옆 사람이랑 답이 비슷하던지
Yeah.
뭔가 정답이던지 그러면은 확실히 알 수 있는데 제가 가서 슬쩍 보니까 다 틀린 거예요.
Right.
그래서 그래 뭐 문제 없겠다 싶어서
True. Yeah, I don't know. I never thought about this, but like, so all of my scores are now above the average. So if I tried to cheat off the person next to me, it would make my score worse, not better. But statistically, unless I knew for sure that they were great.
네네네. 뭐 아는 사람이 아니니까
Yeah. Anyway.
모르는 거죠. 모르는 거지.
Okay.
네, 그랬었어요. 그렇게 해서 되게 재밌는 경험이었습니다.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. You know, yeah, that's really cool. I think I don't know what to say about it. I'm very, very thankful for the people who run the test because you know, it's a cool opportunity for me to take the test, and they every time they've done a very good job. They've been very professional and no problems. So yeah.
네, 그렇죠, 그렇죠.
Yeah.
네, 그리고 저는 개인적인 희망은 다음에 토픽 말하기 시험이 그 제대로 되면 그때는 말하기 면접관을 해보고 싶어요.
Oh yeah. I'm curious about that too.
그것도 재밌을 것 같아요.
Yeah.
돈도 많이 주겠죠?
Yeah, probably. You get paid extra.
네, 그리고 제가 아무래도 뭐 직업이나 유튜브 특성상 그 저를 아는 한국어 공부하는 외국인이 꽤 있잖아요.
Yeah.
만약에 내 구독자가 시험 보러 왔다. 그러면은 저도 모르게 점수를 좀 더 잘 주지 않을까요?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
네.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that's all I have to say about topic. I don't have anything else.
네, 뭐 토픽. 참 그게 작년 새해 목표 중에 하나였다고 했었죠. 네, 참 잘 이뤘네요.
Thanks.
네. 그리고 뭐 그 말이 나와서 얘기하는 김에 올해 새해 목표는 아직 안 세웠겠네요.
Oh, say it again. I didn't follow that. What?
아니, 2026년의 새해 목표는 그 사실 우리가 아직도 2025년 12월이기 때문에
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
우리 미리 영상을 만들고 있기 때문에
Yeah.
뭐,
Interesting point.
네, 나중에 뭐 좀 그 무슨 목표가 생겼는지 나누고 싶으면 얘기해주면 재밌을 것 같습니다.
Yeah, definitely.
네, 그러면은 다시 한번 토픽 5급
Yeah.
축하합니다.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll say this to, you know, anybody who took the test recently, got a score, congratulations. I'm sure your score was great. Good job. And if you're going to take the test soon or later, you know, good luck, 화이팅, and do your best. Yeah.
네,
Just relax.
네, 하고요.
Yeah.
네, 그러면 저희는 또 다음 주에 유익하고 흥미로운 내용으로 돌아오겠습니다. 그러면 지금까지 저는 하프앤하프의 정태웅이었습니다. 감사합니다.
And I'm Jeep. You've been listening to Half and Half, and we'll talk to you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.